Hello, everybody. So today, me and my peers, Nicholas and Francisco, are going to be presenting on the Colburst Company. This was a super interesting case study, and I'm very glad that we had the opportunity to kind of dive into this and understand more about their um, uh, company problems and find a solution for them. So, firstly, their company background is that they had been an independent company until 1979. They also retained much of their old tradition. They said that they kind of had a 1950s politeness and style for their company. No one swore. It was just very professional. Everyone dressed very professional, and it would just kind of mimicked the 1950s. Their annual revenues were stuck at 30 million, which is kind of what the company problem is based off of. And the whole company is a juice maker company, and their products are often found in school cafeterias throughout many states. So, like I mentioned earlier, they're very traditional, and that is kind of what the problem is for the company is that they're stuck at $30 million. Yeah, so here's the problem statement is that the company is so traditional that they are very resistant to change. The new ideas are shut down, limiting innovation and growth. They've maybe had a few employees come in and try to launch a couple ideas, and the leaders react emotionally to innovation. I think, and I quote, they were hysterical whenever a new change is brought up, which, as we all know as business students, is just very can be very detrimental to your company. Thankfully, the current CEO was able to identify that this was an issue before it became to a drastic point for the company, and they were just kind of staying stagnant at their $30 million revenue. The company is no longer evolving, and they do have a risk of falling behind competitors, which in the case we definitely were able to see that they had many other companies kind of break through and take the kind of new spotlight that Coolburst used to have. And one of the one of the other problems is that they kind of these drinks are viewed as kiddish because they're kind of stuck in this cafeteria, and that's why their sales are so stagnant. And so there's nothing attracting the teenagers or the young adults or even adults because they are not making any more progress with innovation to kind of grab the attention of anyone else other than the school cafeterias. And they're not trying to think outside of the box to figure out a way to create that new innovative breakthrough that Coolburst desperately needs to get out of that stagnant $30 million um, point for them. So this is a very serious issue, like I mentioned earlier. If your company is not willing to evolve and innovate, then you will be facing some serious issues. Innovation is critical for long-term survival, especially when you have other companies competing in the same market and they are innovatively thinking and marketing their drinks or whatever the market may be. It's very important that you are also going to compete with them, or else they will beat your company out. Market and customer needs change. Like I mentioned earlier, these teenagers and young adults are kind of saying, yeah, we had that in our cafeterias in school. We don't want that anymore. There's not a fun new drink. And in the case study, I actually mentioned that I think he was in high school and he found this fun new drink and it was a different brand. And that's because they were innovative and they targeted towards them and they were thinking outside the box. And so stagnation leads to declining relevance. Like my whole point has been that people are kind of forgetting about it, just something you have in the cafe. Talent becomes disengaged or leaves. There was a creative CEO in the case study that we learned. He was one of the two that were innovatively thinking, trying to bring up new ideas and share with the company. And the company just basically shut it down because they were such a rigid mindset, weren't able to adapt. And so he ended up stepping down and leaving the company, which is what's going to happen when a employee doesn't have the psychological safety and ability to share their ideas with the company. We learned about this in our class. So yeah, some of the symptoms inside of this company is employees stop sharing their ideas. Creative thinkers feel isolated, and I quote, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it," was was what one of the leaders within the company said, which is obviously not true. And this is definitely something we can take away from reading this case study is that you constantly have to be creative. Um, and so then that leads to a fear of speaking up because they know that their ideas are going to be shut down. So then why would they even bring that up? So then these are the root causes that my peers are going to get into.
The solution is based on the idea of structure innovation, not chaos, which means we encourage new ideas without losing control or identity. First, it's important to keep core traditions intact. Traditions provide stability, trust, and a sense of identity. So innovation shouldn't erase them. Instead of replacing everything, this approach focuses on improving on what already works. Second, creativity needs boundaries. Without structure, innovation can become confusing or inconsistent. Clear limits actually make people more comfortable sharing ideas because they know what's acceptable. Finally, the mindset needs to shift from rejecting ideas to evaluating them. So, rather than immediately saying no, ideas are assessed based on value, alignment, and impact. Yeah, this encourages participation and leads to stronger decision making. To make this solution realistic, there's a clear timeline for uh, implement, implementation. Solution time. So step one focuses on leadership training, which takes about 2 to 3 weeks. Leaders are trained on physiological safety, constructive feedback, and change management. The goal is to help leaders respond thoughtfully to ideas instead of reacting emotionally. Step two is creating a formal idea process, which takes 1 to 2 weeks. This gives people a structured way to submit ideas and ensures each idea is evaluated fairly. Ideas are judged based on cost, risk, and impact, which removes emotion from decision making. Step three is piloting small innovations over 4 to 6 weeks, testing ideas on small scale, lower risk, while still allowing learning. This also builds trust because decisions are based on data, not assumptions. Step four. Step four focuses on communicating and in ongoing. Results are shared openly and learning is celebrated, not just success. This normalizes experimentation and reinforces leadership support. The final step is rewarding innovation, which takes about one month to implement. This means recognizing contributors and rewarding effort, not just outcomes. Doing this signals a cultural shift and encourages long-term participation. Overall, this solution creates a balanced approach to innovation. By combining structure, leadership support, and career evaluation, organizations can grow without losing stability. This timeline makes innovation manageable, sustainable, and inclusive. And that was it. Thank you.
So bringing it all together, this case basically shows that Colorburst doesn't lack creativity, but rather a system that allows it to survive. Another point is that leadership fear and emotional reactions shut down the ideas before they can even be evaluated. And over time, that eroded trust, the psychological safety of its employees, and long-term competitiveness. And basically, the bottom line was that the issue wasn't the change itself, but how the leaders responded to it. And moving on to the final takeaway and path forward. Um, our solution works because it keeps Colorburst traditions intact while still allowing controlled experimentation. It replaces emotional rejection with structured evaluation, and it builds trust, engagement, and accountability over time.